Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Turnin Dirt podcast, where we talk all things agriculture and maybe a few other notable topics. This episode is powered by Meyer Group. Meyer Group is a family-owned and operated New Holland dealer complex consisting of 18 locations across Saskatchewan and Manitoba. I'm your host, John Meyer. Okay, it's time to do another podcast, and today we have Jonathan Meyer from Purely Canada Foods. Jonathan, thanks for joining.
How you doing? Jonathan Meyer, Jonathan Meyer.
That's right.
What a duo.
And spelt the same, which is ironic. We're like the 0.001% of the world who spells it Jonathan. And you go by Jonathan, which I think is great because like I was Jonathan for a good part of my life, but I'm referred to as John. So
yeah, I mean sometimes people, just want to call you John, and
that's right.
You just don't put up with it.
You correct them as fast as they say it, right?
My parents wanted me to be John, I'd be John.
That's right. So. It's exactly right. It's a good call. So, Jonathan, you're from Purely Canada Foods. Your position there is?
I'm a grain trader, grain merchandiser.
Perfect. Right on. And kind of specializing in Durum, correct?
Yeah. Durum wheat is my bread and butter.
Fantastic.
Really.
So residing out of LaJord, that's where the home office is. You live in Regina. If I could ask you, take me back to a young Jonathan Meyer and your experiences in farming or just the agriculture world growing up.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I grew up in a town called Eston, Saskatchewan, about 1,100 people in west central Saskatchewan, not far from like a Kindersley, I guess you'd say.
Everybody knows everybody?
Yeah, everybody knows everybody. I was essentially one of the only families that weren't farmers, and so when I'd go hang out with my friends, they'd all be talking farming and I have no idea what they're talking about. And so I figured, I better get into this industry eventually so I can, be at the conversation.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
I played hockey up until I was 20 and then did the senior thing and just started working at the local elevator and, in 2003, I guess that was. And been doing it ever since. So
nice.
I started dumping trucks. I remember my very first day at work. I had a boss, and we were bringing in grain. We were bringing in wheat and barley, and he asked me which was which. And how the hell would I know? Anyway, I'm figuring I got a 50-50 chance here. Anyway, so I guess, and I got it wrong, of course, but it was a good learning curve anyway. And so, fast forward a little, a few years down the line, and here we are. Farming and eggs my life essentially.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. So you were like a small town boy, but just being in a small town, you weren't a farm kid.
No, I wasn't. My dad was worked for the town. He was the town superintendent, kind of ran the water and the public works. And my mom worked at the bank. And, I just started working at the elevator, dumping trucks, loading cars, with the railway back then. Cars come at 3 a.m. It's 40 below. No one wants to do this for your whole life. It didn't take me long to figure out I wanted to be on the admin side of things. I wanted to be the guy in the office that's ordering the cars and doing that instead of physically loading them. But I'm glad I had the experience on the front lines.
Sure, yeah.
But it didn't take me long to realize, I'm more of a think with my head, not my hands kind of guy. And so I moved into the office and started doing admin stuff like that, and learned to really like the industry.
Nice. So so let's go back a little bit. What gets you to what's the town again? I'm sorry.
Eston.
So how did the Meyers get to Eston? Is there like a Meyer history there?
Well, my dad is born in Rosetown, but he was a goalie, and just like me, he was a hockey player and ended up being in Eston to play senior hockey, which is big in these small towns. And he met my mom, I guess. I don't know if it was before or during or whatever. And my mom, Hartzick, she's a Hartzick maiden name, lived in Eston, grew up in Eston. Her mom owned the flower shop. Her dad owned the Prairie Palace, I guess it was, the bar and the restaurant back then. And maybe that's where they met. And my dad moved to Eston, and they had me in 1984, my brother in 82. And so I guess the rest is history.
That's right. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, that's great that you're a small town boy that heard a lot of talk about farming, decided you should get into it, and started at a grain elevator. Because I mean, like, you don't hear many stories of, a non-farming family getting into farming. Right. So kudos to you, man. That's awesome. So it was out of school, played a little bit of hockey, was loading grain at the elevators. And then the career path led into the office of the elevator. And then was there because Purely Canada Foods is kind of it's not a far cry from an elevator. You're more of a marketer, correct?
Yeah. No. So I started, on the front lines, dumping trucks, opening bins, loading rail cars. Like I said, I got into the admin side of things. And then I administered producer cars for the Canadian Wheat Board for 3 years. That had been around 2005 2005 to 2008, I think. And then I realized I wanted to go to school.
Yeah.
And so I quit my job at that company. At the time, it was a West Central Road and Rail producer car company owned by the local farmers. And quit my job, moved to British Columbia to the Okanagan, and I took 2 years of business school there and majored in marketing. And tried to stay in BC, tried to stay in the Okanagan. Of course, who wouldn't want to live in the Okanagan forever?
Gorgeous, yeah.
Realized, holy shit, if you don't make $500,000, you're not staying here. So
yeah, and it buys you the dirt, by the way. It doesn't buy you a house there.
Yeah, exactly. So moved back to Eston. Here I find myself playing senior hockey again after I had quit everything and moved out west. And I worked for my dad as soon as I moved back. This would have been around, I don't even know, 2009, 2010. Worked for my dad as he was working for the town, and I was driving the street sweeper and stuff like that, fresh out of college, business college.
So awesome.
Didn't know what I wanted to do, and then the company I was working for, came calling again and said, "Would you like to come back?" And so I went back. It didn't take me long. I worked for my dad for a month. I was so scared to tell him I was quitting a month in, but he was like, "Well, you got to do it." So I started basically doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Than I was doing before I left. And in 2012 is when the whole wheat board, became no longer the wheat board. And, the grain company had to start trading grain and making sales on their own. Before we could rely on the wheat board, and we were more essentially just a logistics company.
Yeah.
And when the wheat board was gone, now it was time to get the grain to market. And so that's where I learned, the trade and just kind of learned as we went. No one really knew. This was a whole new world to everybody.
Yeah.
Especially in cereal stuff that was, monitored by the wheat board.
Yeah.
So we just had to figure it out, and we just figured it out. And in 2015, our company was purchased by AGT Foods. And so 2015, I moved to Regina, and then kind of been here ever since.
Nice. I have to reverse a little bit, because you said when you did that month stint with Pops at the town, you drove the street cleaner.
Yep.
For the first 10 years of my life, did you know that's what I was going to do?
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Like, I had this little kid chair that I would bring out, and when I knew they were coming, I'd sit it on the front step and just watch it, because we lived in a cul-de-sac. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, because they come in waves, right? Like, there'd be like 10 of them driving around, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever.
We were a town of 1,000. We didn't have waves of them, but my buddy, a good friend of mine, he also worked there.
Yeah.
And every Thursday night, we'd have slow pitch, and Fridays were the street sweeping days back then, and Thursday night, one night got really late. I was only there a month, right? But one Thursday got really late. I was so hungover. I was driving this, but you know how the street sweeper had a steering wheel on each side back then for when you're on each side of the road, right? And he's like, "You get in the passenger side, I'll man the steering wheel, and you just go to sleep." So I got up, of course, on time for work, get in there, and he just cleaned the streets all day while I slept on the other side. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
That's a true friend right there. I hope you still talk to him.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. And the streets had never been cleaner that day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So my dad had no idea.
And until this podcast, we just won't tell him about your episode.
Yeah.
So today with Purely Canada Foods, what are your day-to-day duties?
Yeah. So I'm in charge of the Durum program mainly, which is, probably 60 or more % of the business at Purely.
Yeah.
Durum is the main commodity we handle, or the most tonnage, I should say. So I look after that program, and then I also kind of oversee the terminal in LeJord, which is the big one, 94,000 tons, 3 million bushels. So I'm kind of overseeing, what we're bringing in and the shipping schedule and stuff like that. And so, day to day, we're just trying to find sales. We're trying to procure the grain from the farmers, find homes for it, make sure it ships on time, and kind of keep things fluid. It's a big terminal to run. It's a big beast, obviously.
Yeah.
We have the other terminals, but this is the only one we do Durum at, essentially. So,
right.
It keeps the guy pretty busy.
Yeah, absolutely. So specializing in Durum. So interesting that you bring that up. So does Purely Canada have a structure where you have representatives for each type of grain?
Yeah, we do. So we have different unit managers. So we have a couple people that are in the pulse department that look after the lentils and the chickpeas and the canary seed and the flax, and then we have another fellow that looks after the canola and the CWRS, the spring wheat, and then I do the Durum. And so, that's Durum's been my bread and butter since the wheat board's been gone early on. And, that was the main commodity that we were trading back in Eston, and I've just learned to love it. And,
nice.
Durum's been a big part of my life and the biggest part of my career. And so you learn to know everything about it. And so, it's fun to to watch it along the way.
Yeah, right on, man. So let's go back a little bit. Tell me, can we get into your hockey career a little bit?
I guess no one really wants to hear about that.
Well, I do. Like I do. So did you like during school years? Did you have a high school team, or was it a?
No, so just small town, and I played my first, young years in Eston, and then in Pee Wee, Kinnersley had a AA program, so obviously I made the trek to Kinnersley twice a week for practice, and then weekends for games. Just a bit stronger of a program.
Yeah,
they had a AA league there, so I played in Kinnersley for my second year Pee Wee and 2 years of Bantam. And then first year Bantam, I got drafted to the Moose Jaw Warriors, 102nd overall. It's like I remember that. I don't know why.
That's awesome. Oh,
6th round, 102nd overall.
It's a draft number, man.
I was supposed to go quite a bit higher, actually, but I had a really bad Sask first tournament in Regina.
Oh, really?
Couldn't stop a beach ball. I think everything went in. It was like the goal felt like a soccer net.
And for our listeners, just so you know, Jonathan was a goalie.
Yeah. So, that really dropped my draft value, but had a really good year in Kinnersley. We won the league. We won the province. Actually made the Swift Current Legionnaires as a Bantam. And as I was packing up to move, my mom cried for about 54 straight hours. So I thought, well, I better not go. I can't, my parents were split up at the time. I can't leave my mom here. So she's been crying since I told her I was leaving. So I ended up staying. Played another year in Kinnersley. Probably wasn't the best career move for my hockey. Moose Jaw kept me on. I mean, they kept my rights. Then I ended up going back to the Legionnaires my first year midget.
Yeah.
Had a terrible year. We were the worst team in the league.
Oh, no.
Dead last. Didn't have a good team. Didn't have a good season. Moose Jaw dropped me. And decided I was going to go to the SJ or the Junior A Tier 2 route. Try to get some school out of it, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. And after my second year Legionnaire in Swift Current, we had a really good year. We lost in the league final. I think I won MVP, and the Broncos offered me a position. And it was at that point where I'm like, do I want to go to school or do I want to play in the dub?
Yep.
And so I elected to go to OCN. L'Orange had my rights in the SJ. I didn't really want to go there too badly. So I ended up going to OCN. They had a really strong Junior A program.
Yep.
And, my first year in OCN, we won the league. We lost to Humboldt in the Anavet Cup, but had a scholarship. This is kind of a tragic part of the story, but had a scholarship offer to Lake Superior, Michigan.
Yeah.
It was only 87% paid, and that part just didn't sit well with me. I don't know, I was a cocky young kid, thought it was really good, whatever. And in the same breath, you got your coaches telling you they don't want to lose you. Play one more year, you'll get 100% for sure the next year. You're just too young, right? And just play another year, So, of course, turned that down, flew there and everything, checked it all out. It was a really nice school. They were terrible at the time. But still, it was a Div 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Turned that down, of course.
Yeah.
Back to OCN. My first 2 weeks in, they bring another goalie in, like right out of the QMJHL. So I'm not playing as much as I thought I'd be. I'm playing halftime, then I get hurt. And make a long story short, no more scholarship ever came.
From you.
So, yeah.
Shit.
Then my last year, I played in Kinnersley and closer to home. Wanted to be closer to home for my 20-year-old year, and played with the Junior Clippers. And
so what team were you in OC, or is that
OCN Blizzard?
Okay, I got you.
In the Paw, Manitoba.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so you resided in the Paw for a bit.
I lived in the Paw for 2 years and loved every second of it.
Really?
Beautiful country.
Yeah.
Had the beautiful lake up there.
Yeah.
Met a lot of great people. Had great billets.
Yeah.
Loved every second.
I've only been through the Paw because I was a downhill skier. I think we just talked about this before. I didn't play hockey as a kid. I was a downhill skier, and the Manitoba Winter Games were up in Thompson. So I've driven through the Paw. I haven't actually stayed there before, but I also haven't heard of anybody say they loved it there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, playing hockey there, that was the OCN Blizzard where you were legends in that town. They treated you like royalty, and so it was, for me, it was just a great time and a great 2 years. And it was a great place to play junior. They really took care of you financially versus anywhere else you could go. They had a lot of money. Yeah. They buried it all into the hockey club. That's why they won 5 straight titles or whatever it was. I was a part of one of them. And then the next year, my second year, we lost. We had a better team than when we won the league and got swept first round. They fired everybody and traded me. And
it's a house cleaning.
Cleaned house. Yeah, they don't take losing lightly up there. So came back home to Eston and played senior hockey for
Yeah.
quite a few years.
Nice. And so how long did you do that for? What was the team you played there?
The Aston Ramblers, senior.
The Ramblers, eh?
So I was the goalie there for a few years. And then when I went to school and I came back, I was actually playing and managing the team. And we won the provincial title, and I don't know what year that was, but it was a fun ride.
Nice.
Small town senior hockey is the best hockey I've ever played.
Yeah.
Maybe not talent-wise, but fun-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I can see how it would be. Just
playing with all your buddies.
That's exactly it. Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how the hell to get to work.
Because you'd have those hungover nights, I'm sure. Well, maybe not hungover nights, but just not wanting to go back to work. I get that. Totally get that. So shifting gears back to the egg side now. So you're out at Purely Canada. What kind of territory do you deal with, Jonathan? Like, is it, obviously it's your, how do I word this here? How big's the territory? Let's just start with that.
Yeah, so I'm more on the sales side. So, I mean, we buy grain from all farmers in Southeast Saskatchewan.
Okay.
But I sell it. So I make the sales, whether it's to the U.S. or globally or wherever, and work it back to a grower price. And we have a procurement team that goes out and buys the grain. There's still some farmers I work with direct.
Yep.
But for the most part, that's how we're structured now. We're selling grain all over the world.
That was going to be my next question.
Our main market at Purely Canada is the U.S. because we can hit it rail direct.
Yep.
We don't have open water access at the ports. And so most of our grains go into the United States. So we're dealing with the end user, which is nice. In my previous employment, obviously, and how I started in 2015 working in the Durum globally, we were more selling to the Italies of the world and the North Africas and places like that. And that's where I really got to, figure it out and learn more about durum and how it's used globally, and got to travel the world. And, it just popped up on my Facebook the other day. 8 years ago, I was in Geneva, Switzerland. That was my very first trip overseas. And I've been to 24 countries since. So it's
24.
So it's been quite a ride.
All of which have bought durum.
All of which have been work related.
Yeah, or a customer of selling commodities. Yeah. That's crazy. Like, so you're saying your main, if you can't get into it, that's fine. But interested to know, and maybe some of our listeners are on what who a typical end user would be of durum.
Yeah, so I mean, on a global stage, Italy's obviously the biggest pasta producing and eating country in the world. I mean, if you just want to think of it and bring it back to, put it in easiest terms, the average Italian eats 60 pounds of pasta per year, and the average North American eats 20.
No, 60 pounds?
60 pounds per year of pasta is what the average Italian eats.
It's like the average size of a child.
Yeah. So
in pasta.
So you can see Italy's the biggest customer for Canadian durum wheat.
Yeah.
Obviously North Africa, like Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco would be number 2.
Yeah.
The United States is a big customer, and, places like Japan and so really got to learn a lot about what goes on overseas, and there's different uses for durum, but at the end of the day, they're mostly making pasta.
Right.
North Africa, more couscous.
Yeah.
But, and so I've just learned a lot about, the industry and how it's used around the world, and just been really fortunate.
Yeah. So, durum, you're saying heading down and easiest to the States by rail. Are you going farther south than that? Like, by rail, does it make it into like Mexico, say?
Mexico is traditionally a durum exporter. They do produce more than they need, but from time to time they will import if they need a certain quality.
Sure.
But the U.S. is mainly by rail, like you say, and we're shipping to a lot of the end users, the Barillas of the world.
Yep.
And so, we're shipping to most of them.
Yeah.
You can't shut anyone out. You need them all.
Yeah.
And they all want Canadian durum.
Yeah.
They love our story at Purely Canada, how we have, the farms backing and a big producer of durum wheat right on the farm level.
Yeah.
The big companies are all trying to get closer to the farmer. They're all trying to get, as close to the farm as possible, less people in the middle, just, try to grow the traits they're looking for. And so we've had great success doing that. And we're shipping less overseas, obviously, on water without that access. I mean, we do ship some that goes overseas, just not making the direct sales per se. We do ship some in a container.
Yeah. Oh, it just goes by container.
Not very often. Okay. Mostly durum's moving in a big bulk vessel, but there are some container moves. Yeah. But for the most part, we're focusing on the rail to the U.S.
Going back to what you said about, the end user wanting to be more connected to the farmer and the producer and that sort of thing, because that's a huge marketing strategy for a end user per se to be able to market that, you know, they know the producer per se, and then they can put that on packaging or labeling or anything like that. So no, very interesting to hear that. So I wanted to question you about if it does go overseas. Like, have you seen the vessels that it goes into?
Oh yeah, I've been to the ports when we're loading our specific vessels and watched them load. And in fact, I've been overseas and watched them unload too.
Oh, is that right?
Both sides of it. Yeah. And, you know, it's very neat. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts that people don't realize in the industry. You know, right from when it's grown. Farmer has an extremely difficult job. Yep. You know, to get it to grow and, you know, make sure you're applying the correct products and what. Yep. And, you know, and the route it takes through Canada to get overseas or wherever it's going is a very complex route. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you say, you know, it starts with the farmer, I tell you, like, I mean, I think we got the best in the world here. And,
we do, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it starts here. And, like when you say people don't know like how many moving parts there are, like you take a look at a shipyard with containers, for instance, like, I mean, the amount of thousands of containers that come in on one boat, and like now these shipping yards are automated. There's little trucks that, I mean, and all, you know, you look at the shipyards and all those containers, you think some of them, they must be stored there for, you know, days on end. Well, they're all getting cycled out like all the time. So where would your biggest, like if you had to ship overseas, I guess it's depending on which way you go. Let's say you're going west though, like is Vancouver the biggest port?
Yeah, for sure. For Canada, Durham's leaving North America typically in either Vancouver, Thunder Bay, and then through a lake or to the St. Lawrence, and then out that way.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's really, and then obviously rail to the U.S.
Yeah, and so sorry to interrupt you. The unloading of the vessel though, the vacuum is a big
scoops, like cranes almost. Yeah, scooping it onto just 100 trucks that are lined up waiting to take the grain. So the scoop just comes in, scoops it, and dumps it on the truck, and away the truck drives off with 30, 40 ton, and to the mill it goes and dumps it in the mill, and the truck turns around and comes. And I mean, these vessels are 60,000 tons. So I don't know what 60,000 divide 40 is, but that's a lot of trucks.
It's a lot of trucks. Yeah. But I mean, they're also, they unloaded they're unloading the ships as fast as they possibly can. For sure. I mean, it's all about
time
efficiency.
is money.
That's exactly right. So amazing. Well, thank you. Like, I've learned a few things here, so I really appreciate that, Jonathan. I want to cut into some fun stuff if that's okay, and I'm going to bring producer Jay in if he's ready.
Yeah, I think we should do this. Okay. All right, the two Johns.
Yeah,
you guys are
Jonathan and John.
You're right.
You gotta, he said Jonathan, so we gotta do.
If
Jonathan.
Your parents wanted me to call you John, they would have named you John, right?
That's exactly. And I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so John and Jonathan. It's a battle between the Jonathans and the Johns.
I like it.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a blind ranking, and so I'm gonna give you 5 types of food.
Okay.
And you are gonna rank them 1 to 5.
Yeah.
5 being the worst, 1 being the best. Once that number is ranked, you cannot use it again. And you won't know what the next one will be.
This could get interesting.
Super interesting.
Okay, so the first food I'm going to give you is Italian food.
2.
1.
Oh,
I'm the Durham guy. Remember?
I was just gonna say you get fired if you would say that. So,
but even if I don't even need to know what the other 4 are. I think that's for me.
Italian food is friggin' delicious. Yeah. Like it's still, but it's like I think Italian food. I think bread and pasta, and there just needs to be a little diversity in for me. So that's why it's a 2 for me.
Fair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Italian. My wife would have Italian right up there.
Yeah.
Next one, Southern barbecue. So we're talking ribs, like everything Southern barbecue, like anything on a barbecue.
Yeah. The reason I kind of gave it a fuck is because like that would be a 2.
Yeah.
But maybe it should go a 1. Because barbecue's delicious.
I'm going to say 3 just because I hope steak's coming, but maybe not. I'm going to say 3.
You're going to say 3? So you have 1 and 3 taken. Okay. So I'm going to go 3, 2, and I have 2 and 3 taken. Okay. Yeah.
Next is Japanese. So we're talking sushi. We're talking,
fresh fish cut.
Teriyaki. A lot of rice. Dishes.
Not Chinese food, like not deep fried Chinese goodness.
No, Japanese. And I was thinking sushi when I put this.
Yes. So. Okay. Yeah. I'm a 4 on that one then.
5.
5. Not a sushi man.
Don't like sushi?
I like some items, but not most of them.
Really?
I've been to Japan, and watched people eat it right out of a fish, and ever since that I've been
I've seen some weird stuff online where like people are eating plates that are moving.
Yeah.
And pretty close to that. Yeah.
not for me.
No. Okay, that's cool.
Fair.
So I
Okay.
got 5 and 1 open, and you've got 4 and 1 open.
I've used 1 and
1,
3,
3.
so I got 2 and 4 open.
Well, Japanese is a 5, so 1, 3, and 5 is gone for you, and
Yeah.
2, 3, and 4 are gone for
2,
you.
3, 4 gone for me. Yeah.
Okay, so next one is Mexican food.
Yeah, I have to do. I have to do 5.
Yeah, you could really screw us here with the last
Yeah,
one. But
like
I'm gonna say
soup.
4.
Well,
4 for me. Knowing well, you're going to throw a terrible one out here.
no, I
for
better
2.
do one. I better do one with
that
Mexican.
right?
I love tacos.
You like the new Blanco?
I loved. I don't know what that is.
The new restaurant in Regina? Oh, it's good.
New Blanco.
Yeah.
Where is
down
it?
On Albert, where La Bodega was.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, it's Mexican.
Yeah.
I have to
Let's
go
check it
there.
out.
You gotta
No,
go.
I think Mexican. I think guac over here, which is Mexican. But like,
Okay.
I mean, I love just a standard little.
You know what's
shell
coming. You must
tacos.
know the next.
I don't
question.
know. I don't know the next one.
Mexican's my number 1.
Okay,
I
so I'm
absolutely-
gonna take number 1 for Mexican too.
absolutely
Yeah.
love.
And you went what?
I went 4.
4. So you've got 2 left.
Don't love it. I like it.
I've
Don't
got
love it.
I have the most hated food left.
Well, I mean, the last one is just Chinese food.
Oh, I'm okay with it then. Yeah,
like-
yeah.
I'm happy with 2. Then I like my list. Yeah.
Okay.
You like
Love Chinese food.
I don't hate it. I like it, but I mean, it would be my last choice of what you said.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah.
When I grew up, like it was taco nights, it was Chinese food nights, it was
Yep.
pizza nights.
Yep.
Like with my family. So,
Yeah.
but like when I say Chinese, like there's like the traditional Chinese cuisine, and
Yep.
then there's like North American Chinese. Like
Right.
I'm really stuck in that North American Chinese.
I think we
with
all
the
are.
egg
Yeah.
rolls, chicken,
All you
balls,
can eat
fried
buffet?
rice. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you know.
Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And in fact, the funny thing is, and a couple of my friends, namely Chris Finley and Noah Negavan, will laugh at me at this, but like up until like my mid 20s, early 30s, I was like, I don't like Chinese food. But they always laughed at me because it's like, John, it's like everything you like. It's like deep fried goodness, you know, like like you said, the chicken balls and the egg rolls and stuff. Like it's all delicious, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, there's just so many different Asian cuisines too.
That's
to
right,
say
yeah.
just Japanese and Chinese. There's Thai. There's
Yeah.
Vietnamese.
Yeah.
There's some overlap there, and you know, like there's just a lot. But
Yeah.
you know, I'll take into consideration that steak you'd consider.
I'd probably put steak 1 or 2. I was scared to put past a 1 because I thought maybe steak was coming, but
Yeah.
I took the chance and it worked out.
Well, maybe just meat and potatoes. I just don't. Is that British food?
I don't know what that is. I would say it's North American cuisine, if anything.
Just meat and potatoes. Okay.
Are you a meatitarian, Jonathan?
You know, you could say that, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
You know, now that I have a smoker, I'm really into the smoke kind of game.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's like a cult with everyone with a smoker.
Yep.
Everyone says that, but smoking meat is smoked meat's one
Yeah.
of my
You've
favorites. That's why
used
the
the word
southern was tough.
brisket 30 times in the last year, probably. Right?
I don't do as many briskets just because, man, they're a lot of work. You got to put them on at 1 in the morning and you
Yeah.
take them
Yeah.
off at 5 p.m. the next day. It's just
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah. So I've recently subscribed to Masterclass. Have you guys seen this?
I've heard of it.
And this is a Franklin Barbecue's got one in there. I'm not sure of his name. His last name's Franklin, but like he goes over like front to back how to trim brisket, how to wrap it, you know, how to make
So
the
foil or butcher paper?
He used butcher paper.
Okay, big debate there.
Oh, is that
With
right?
the
eh?
Southerners, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think it's probably 50-50 if you were to poll a lot of the people in,
Yeah.
you know, Louisiana or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, for sure he's
Well,
butcher
foil
paper.
would generate more direct heat. Would it
yeah,
not?
and the butcher paper just allows it to, you know, the
Breathe.
juices to breathe a bit more, I guess.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I've done both. I don't know what's better, but
Yeah.
I have friends when it comes to steaks that they'll collect the fat at the table that other people cut off the steak.
Yeah.
And they'll eat it. They'll want it.
Yeah.
I think they should be put into prison.
So you're a flaming young guy then. You obviously don't like
yeah.
you don't like the ribeye type.
no.
Okay,
Like fat caps. I
See,
understand.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I understand how a good marble
Yeah.
and is
Yeah.
what gives it juice, but
Yeah.
it's when that marbling gets too thick and it
Yeah.
can't break down and add juice to the steak.
That's right.
It sits there as fat and I can't get into
Well, that's
that.
fair. Yeah.
See, yeah, like so there's a debate here. Well, it's not really a debate because like I'm with you. Like I like a very well marbled steak, but there's something in the cooking process where it has to be rendered properly.
Right.
Because like fat can be delicious. Like
Yeah.
it can add flavor to a bite, but it can also put it in your mouth and be chewy as fuck
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Like and then that puts you off. So I don't know what the answer is to that. Like is it chewy? Have you cooked it too much?
Right.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I mean,
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just not broken
steak
down.
is meant
Yeah.
to be cooked fairly quickly on high heat, right?
Right,
But you
yeah.
know, I've kind of got into the sous vide game lately, where you're just
Yeah.
you're cooking them to that temperature.
Yeah.
You know, for 4 or 5 hours, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It'll hold the temperature for 3 days.
Yeah, I've tried
And
it.
grill it a bit.
Yeah, yeah. I've tried the sous vide thing, but the steaks are gray.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah, you pull it out of the bag, and that you don't.
It doesn't look-
You got to get it in a skillet. You got
sear it,
to
yeah.
You got to sear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
we're talking about, sous vide?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
oh,
that
yeah.
water.
Yeah, you worked at
ones.
Earl's. You'll know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Sous vide.
We brought in a sous vide machine, and it's all about consistency.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
and then the slow cook of it.
Right.
But it's a controlled environment.
Yeah, if you're cooking for steaks for 15 people, there's nothing easier than the sous vide because you don't know what time people are going to eat. I mean,
Right.
these things are ready to go whenever. You just got to take them off, give yourself 4 minutes, and grill them a bit. And
Right.
away you go.
So you can leave them. Yeah, I should have read more because I tried them. So if you set that sous vide to a certain temperature, it'll keep them there.
It'll hold it there for days.
So it'll hold them at a
I
medium.
don't recommend it.
No,
Yeah.
no, but it'll hold at a medium rare
Oh,
for
you-
2 hours if you wanted
You
to.
set your sous vide to 135, and that meat ain't going over 135.
So it will not cook any more than that.
No.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great for hosting.
Yeah.
But you're right. Take it out of the bag. It looks terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, 10 minutes before, take them out, sear them up so they got that crisp. Yeah. Put a little garlic butter in there and burn it on. Yeah.
For all amateur barbecue people out there,
Yes.
from my experience, we did some cooking or steak cooking seminars, and we were taught very, very, like seriously that when you're cooking like a blue rare steak,
Yeah.
you use the hottest part of the grill.
Right.
When you're cooking a medium well to well,
Yeah.
you use the lowest heat
But keep
because
it on.
obviously it'll char the outside.
Yeah.
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 And by the time the heat gets down to the middle, the outside in a high heat, well done steak is just, you're charred it to death.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not well done. It's
Skin cat.
congratulations
Yeah,
at that
skin
point.
cat. Yeah.
I'm a big foodie, so
Yo, I'm with you, man. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a big restaurant and
Yeah.
cook from home kind of guy. But
We should maybe do segments on that. What's your go-to? And
oh man, I don't probably don't have me on Twitter, but I've tweeted my top 5 favorite restaurants in Regina and my top 5 favorite meals in Regina, just because I eat out so often, a lot with work.
oh yeah.
But, my go-to, I don't know, it's always changing. I love the Diplomat. I mean, for me, it's an experience. I
Yeah,
love the experience of the
absolutely, yeah.
dip. They treat you like you're royalty there. I love it. I love the wine list is 17 pages long.
Yep.
Great steaks. I love Avenue. I love the atmosphere there. The cocktails are next
Yep.
to none. They got a really good mixologist there.
Yeah.
I love Fireside.
Where's Fireside?
On
13th.
Elephant Stone, somewhere over there in Cathedral. Yeah, 13th over
Yeah,
there.
it's 13th and I don't know what.
Yeah,
what-
probably the best steak Neptune, I guess they call it on the menu. But
Yeah.
the best mushroom risotto I've ever had in my life is from there.
Is Fireside? Is it a house?
Yeah, it's an
Oh,
old
yeah,
house.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
those would be my top 3 memories. I like golfs, but
Yeah. Oh, so you're like local, like those
Yeah.
are you like local place. So like,
Yeah.
cause Chop's a favorite of mine.
I like chop.
Yeah,
but
I don't mind the keg because it's like very consistent, you know. And we had a keg in Brandon, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a go-to for me. I worked there. I put 2 years into the Brandon, and actually, it's the same owner of the two that own the 2 here. So Chop and the keg, and then I love the Diplomat as well.
Yeah.
It's so good,
Yeah.
so good.
So,
Okay. Well, I love that we went deep into the food.
Yeah,
now we're going
that's
to
right.
get into some would you rather.
Okay,
It's kind of just quick and painless. Would you rather have the ability to fly or be invisible?
fly.
that's tough, but I think fly.
That's super tough.
That's
eh?
a good question.
Well, but invisible, you could the things you could get away with, man. Yeah, I think
that's
a tough one.
But if you could like fly wherever you want on your own accord.
yeah,
Like your body just flies, you mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean there is there's no caveats.
Yeah.
it'd be handy.
there's no caveats.
There's no caveats or brackets in this, guys.
There's no caveats.
Do you believe you could fly? Go nuts.
Yeah, go nuts. Yeah, whatever your little mind suggests there.
Invisible, yeah, other than, hearing things you might
Yeah.
want to hear that you would never hear.
Yeah, being a fly on the
wall,
wall,
yes, yeah.
you know? Yeah. Other than that, or you could very easily sneak into a bank, but the money you would take is not invisible,
Right,
you know? All of a sudden,
That's
there's
right.
just this bag floating out of the fucking bank, that doesn't work, you know? Yeah.
Okay. This one, we all might be biased on this one. Would you rather be a famous actor, a famous sports athlete, or famous musician, rock star? I mean, you almost got to pro, so this is kind of biased for you, but
B or C for me though. Still, I've always, something about C. I think I'd pick C.
Yeah,
musician.
I think their lifestyle would just be. I mean, it'd be dangerous, but
yeah.
I mean, an athlete, you got to stay in shape, and you got to be watching, what you're eating, and you got to be like a rock star. I don't think there's any rules. You should
there's not. But
maybe
you know what?
They all die so young.
Yeah, that's right. But the other side of being a rock star, and as we mentioned documentaries earlier, and that Robbie Williams one that I'm currently watching, he said it, and I've talked about it before with somebody else because I went to a Coldplay concert and it was the same thing. But like you get in a stadium of 60,000 people, and they're all singing the lyrics that you wrote.
Yeah, amazing.
Like
there'd be nothing like that.
There'd be nothing like that. Like nothing. Like the words that your pen wrote on a piece of paper one day that you turned into a song, they're singing to you.
Yeah.
Yep. C. The answer's C.
Okay. I like that. Okay, I'm going to go last one.
Okay.
So it's this or that. You just got to pick what's better out of these. Red wine, white wine.
Red.
Red?
Cabs have all day.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy for me.
Really? You're a Merlot guy.
No, I'm a Pinot guy.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Like I mean,
a little sweet for me. But.
I'm dabbling in Cab Sauves, but I haven't yet. Or
You'll get there.
Yeah, I will get there. Yeah, my day will come.
You're on the regular path.
You know what? I like Merlots and Pinots too.
Yeah.
Cabs are little. They got that.
I just
make
find
your lips smack a little bit.
I just find you have to be eating with Cab Sauves. That's for me anyway. Like a light Pinot, you can just drink as a cocktail.
Fair,
yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. Pretty light, but
cap it off. Yeah.
It's the 3 C's. If you need a snack at home, you go candy, chips, or chocolate.
Chocolate. For me.
I get one.
No, put them in order.
Put them in order.
Sure, put them in order.
Okay.
Chips for me, and then candy. Then I'm not a big chocolate guy.
Yeah, chocolate, chips, candy. So I think it's you said candy, chips, chocolate.
No, I'd be chips. I'm a salt
candy.
guy. I'd be chips, then candy, then chocolate last.
Okay.
Miss Vicky's.
Yeah, the salt and malt.
Yeah,
they're good. Yeah.
My
favorite chip is probably Lay's ketchup or the Ruffles all dressed.
Lay's ketchup over Old Dutch.
Big time. No
really?
Question. No match.
Wow. No match.
No match.
So you don't like consistency on your chip because Lay's is laying off on consistency.
You never know. It's just a nice mix. If you're constantly eating an Old Dutch chip that's smothered in the
greatness of the ketchup
it's
seasoning.
Just too much. It's just too much.
I love it.
Crazy. Oh, that's crazy. Well, it's not crazy. It's just your thing.
Well, what's your favorite? Did you say chocolate's number one?
Chocolate's number one, yeah.
What's your 5 favorite chocolate bars?
Okay, so you go to the store, Lindt, Lindt chocolate.
Love those.
Yeah. Okay,
the white or the dark?
So like milk chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you can get the hazelnut one or just the milk chocolate. That's my go-to for chocolate.
Frozen, or I like my chocolate frozen.
I like that too. Score, and then if you're going to chocolate bar, it's Score.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
The way that sits in my teeth, I can't do it.
Oh, really?
But it's funny every time we talk
Score
about
it is. Yeah.
Every time we talk about chocolate, everyone's always like, "What's the top 5 chocolate bars?" So we've talked about this in other episodes. And to me, there's a couple debates here, but like to me, it goes Twix 1, Snickers 2, Mars 3, Kit Kat 4, and I'm going to go Wonder Bar 5.
Wow.
And I think that's a pretty solid list.
Yeah.
Reese's peanut butter cups, I don't consider a bar.
Yeah. What's a peanut butter product I find?
Yeah, so you got to
and it's a cup
own
too.
category. Smarties, M&Ms, their own category.
Yeah,
it's more candy than
5 Hall of Famers there for sure.
I think so.
Those are all the
you can
top
relate
dogs.
The Mount Rushmore, like
nobody said
what it'd be.
What about O. Henry?
Yeah, that'd be up there. Kit Kat would be my number 1.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We all need a break.
It's all delicious stuff.
We all need a break.
Keep your chocolate bars in the fridge, everybody. They're way better.
That's right. Or the freezer.
Or the freezer, or that.
Yes.
Way better.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining, Jonathan. This has been awesome. Can we have you on again?
Let's do it.
Right on. Okay. Thanks again. Jonathan Meyer from Purely Canada Foods.